Michael Jackson, the king of pop, one of the most popular musicians of all time, and also one of the most controversial. Later in his life, he had, well, to say the least, a lot of problems. Stuff that I mostly ignored for a couple of years. I've heard the events explained to me in many different ways. I've heard multiple defenses for what he's done or what he allegedly did or if it even happened. And now there's a new documentary out that premiered at Sundance. And apparently the new evidence is pretty brutal. So, was Michael Jackson a terrible person? Probably. Should he stop listening to his music? I don't really know if I have the answer to that. Should I stop watching Moonwalker? Well, in my defense, it was a Patreon request from Movie Johnson, which you can do yourself over on Patreon. So, yeah. You know what? I'm going to watch Moonwalker. We're going to take ourselves back to a time, a simpler time, the 80s, where everything was perfect and we didn't worry about stupid stuff like this, right? The 80s, right? So great, you know, no nostalgia goggles there.
Moonwalker, a name based on the dance the king perfected. This is a biopic, music videos, special effects showcase. Honestly, if I were to compare it to anything, I would say Pee-wee's Big Adventure, a road flick that featured claymation and a dance number and other random bits, including a movie studio chase. Moonwalker features all of that stuff, except the only difference is that this is apparently made with the sole purpose of promoting just how amazing Michael Jackson is. Hey, here's Michael Jackson in Smooth Criminal, isn't he awesome? Here's Michael Jackson turning into a robot, isn't that groundbreaking? Here's Michael with children. Oh shit, nope, stop the video. Yeah, it's a little of the times, like very of the times. In fact, I'll just say this movie could not have come out at any other time other than 1988. This was just before the beginning of the downhill for Jackson's persona and career. And with that, they made one of the most overblown tributes to a man who was still very much alive that I've ever seen. It's like if someone talked to Ariana Grande or Drake and said, hey, we want to make a movie about you. We have several sci-fi-like ideas and we need to choose one of them. And then they respond, let's just do them all, even though they don't make any sense. Granted, if Kanye West was asked to do something like this, I would totally be on board for that. As is, Moonwalker is just a strange time capsule for fans of the superstar. And despite that it's self-masturbatory, convoluted as hell, and feels extremely uncomfortable for what's publicly known today, I honestly have to say, I kind of love this movie. One of the biggest reasons to love it is for the use of special effects. Sometimes it's claymation, sometimes it's front screen projections, sometimes it's this strange design using what looks like magazine cutouts. It's every style of music video that existed at the time, being showcased as an attempt to tell some kind of story. But with that, if you try to follow along with the actual tale, it'll just confuse you. I guess it's about a whole world chasing the persona of Michael, which at times leads him to transform into a child and recreate the bad music video, which is interesting, I suppose, but it kind of just makes you wonder why they thought this would entertain audiences. Like, we already have bad, why would you need kids to recreate it? Then again, recreating media as children or through Musical.ly has become a multi-million-dollar industry, so the public's thirst for zero originality will always exist. In a way, I guess this becomes a segue for the Smooth Criminal storyline, which features Michael going up against the Mafia, led by Joe Pesci. I remember watching it the first time and saying, who's that Joe Pesci lookalike? Only to find out it is, in fact, Joe Pesci. So before Goodfellas, I guess he was typecast as himself? After a music video, Michael turns into a spaceship. Yeah, I wrote that down and now I'm looking at it and it sounds about as ridiculous as it is. He kills all the thugs and saves the children, ending on a concert. So, like most music videos, it's heavy on the art, but when you try to fit in a story, it becomes a mess and distracts from the enjoyment. Because while the story is completely stupid and unnecessary, all the other stuff is pretty great. I love the effects and sets, I love the cinematography. Just like great music videos, they take the time to really engross themselves in the genre. For the Smooth Criminal section, they have many tributes to film noir noirs, utilizing tons of shadows and good lighting. The costumes are so classic that you can't help but smile throughout it all. The chase through the movie studio is fun, especially for fans of claymation. Even the Noid shows up, which doesn't really help to make the movie timeless on top of everything else, but it just adds to the zaniness. The beginning of the movie is a montage of Michael singing at a concert, leading into a complete rundown of his career. And in all honesty, it's one of my favorite tributes to any artist that I've ever seen. If you're a fan of those great YouTube edits that showcase a person's career, check out this one, as it predates all of those and brings it to a Hollywood budget level. And what can I say? Smooth Criminal really is one of the best music videos ever made. The size, the dancing, the epic way Michael Jackson says the lines, the angles and designs make for one of the most invigorating experiences that Jackson ever created.
So if you're a fan of Michael, you're probably going to love this movie. It has everything that we love about the artist, and it has a lot of awesome 80s moments in it. As is, could the story have been better? Well, way better. It was actually a terrible story. Maybe audiences would have wanted more of a story, or maybe they just wanted a straight up concert movie that had some biopic stuff and music videos sprinkled in. As is, I would definitely define this as a guilty pleasure. A movie that is probably bad, but one that I enjoy for very specific reasons and with a huge bias. If you're into 80s movies, I definitely recommend it. I recommend it if you like Michael Jackson. Moonwalker, a movie lost in time and meaning.
Thank you for watching the video. A special thanks to Movie Johnson, Ryan, and Lucas for supporting me on Patreon. If you'd like to be like them and get exclusive access to content and blogs, and even request reviews monthly, please click on the Patreon link, and thanks for your support.